Welcome. I'm Dr. Kathy Obear, the president of the Center for Transformation and Change, and I'm delighted to share with you 5 critical skills to navigate difficult situations. So my first question for you is, what makes a situation difficult for you? Situations in the workplace and community organizations at home are only difficult, in my opinion, if we don't have the presence, the confidence that we can choose an effective response even if we're caught off guard. Now, situations generally become difficult for us if we feel what I call triggered. We're caught off guard by the intensity of the emotions, that unexpected wave of feelings that overwhelms us. We get knocked off our game, and our emotions distract us, disorient us in the moment. Often we react in a snap on automatic pilot without thinking. And more often than not, our knee-jerk reaction is ineffective and unproductive, possibly creating and escalating tension and conflict. It's critical we develop the skills to respond effectively when we hit a hot button so we can resolve difficult situations quickly and effectively. We need to do this in order to avoid the unnecessary conflict and tension that undermines productivity, communications, and effective relationships. In this series of videos, talk about these 5 critical skill sets that have helped me and thousands of others respond much more effectively in difficult situations. So the first set of skills, we have to know our warning signs. I used to believe I was either triggered or not, that I had no control over my reactions. But through my research, I discovered there's this predictable cycle of 7 steps, what I call the triggering event cycle. Now, these 7 steps occur whenever I get my buttons pushed. And if I realize I'm triggered early in the cycle, I can figure out which step I'm on and choose the right tools to use to respond and get me off what my friend Sam Killerman calls the traffic circle. I love this analogy. When we feel triggered, it's like we're stuck on a traffic circle going round and round and we can't figure out how to get off. We see the exit, but there's always some car getting in our way, or we just see it too late, and we just keep escalating conflict and tension wherever we go. It is possible to exit the traffic circle at each of the 7 steps of the triggering event cycle. The key is to know how. So in this first video, I want to talk about the tools to use early in the cycle to interrupt our emotional reactions before we say and do anything we later regret. So it's first important to know, what are your common warning signs? It's critical we increase our awareness of our common warning signs that let us know we feel triggered. So just take a moment and write down both internal warning signs that help you know you're triggered and some of the external ones that help you and could help others know you've hit a hot button. Now here's a list of some of the very common ones I hear in all my workshops and from my coaching clients. Can you relate to having your heart racing, trouble breathing? I'll often get this dull headache when I'm feeling triggered. Often a tightness in my neck and my shoulders. People say their stomach gets in knots, and I get this grrr energy just throughout my body. And there are so many more. Now, some of the external warning signs that you might notice yourself or others might notice is your face and neck flushes. Now, some people can see the color change, some can't. And you get that look. For me, as my eyes narrow, my lips get tight, I kind of turn my head a little bit. For other folks, they might squint or get a frown. When you feel triggered, you just kind of shake your head or lean back, maybe look away, look down, look at your phone, and maybe sit back with your arms crossed. There are so many external warning signs, clues we're triggered. And if we can pay attention and recognize these early warning signs, we can more quickly interrupt the triggering event cycle and stop ourselves before we react ineffectively. Now, another critical tool is we can do a body scan to assess the intensity of our triggered reactions. So you can scan your body, your emotions, and your thoughts, what I call a systems check. And you can notice from the scale from -10 to +10, how intense are your emotions. Now, 90% of the time, people that have reported to me and talked to me about feeling triggered, they describe negative emotions like anger, frustration, fear, shame, sadness, guilt, embarrassment. Now, occasionally, some people tell me they were knocked off their game, they reacted less effectively, they were overwhelmed with, quote, positive feelings they had in the moment. Feelings like joy, happiness, excitement, getting a promotion or a new job, falling in love. I remember a few months ago, I was jogging across a 6-lane street. I was just coming back from picking up some Thai food for dinner. And I was thinking about how happy and contented I was feeling lately. And then I noticed I was jogging, and then I was delighted I could still jog so easily across this long highway at my age. And I was lost in my positive thoughts and my feelings. I wasn't paying attention, and I tripped over the curb and fell flat on my face. Even positive emotions can have us triggered enough that we aren't effective in paying attention in the moment. Now, another type of warning signs, the 4 F's, are ways we react less effectively. And if we can pay attention and notice early that we're in one of these less effective stress reactions, we can shift our thoughts and behaviors before I have too much of a negative impact on others. So take a moment, think about some less effective reactions you've had lately. And did you go into any of these 4 F's, these common unproductive reactions? Now, if you're like me these days, I often in a snap will go into fight mode. I get too direct, too angry, have a little too much energy for the room, and I might get judgmental or critical. I go into fight. Many people often talk about freeze, and I know freeze. That's when I don't know what to say, I can't do anything helpful, and I just don't know what to do. Now, I often have gone into flight, where I'm like, get me out of here, and I'm looking for any way to escape the situation as fast as I can. And then another common stress reaction, I believe I made this up, is flounder. And that's when we're at least trying a few approaches, but we might ramble on. We're out of our body, triggered. We try something that doesn't work. We try something else, and we just keep floundering around. And so to summarize this first set of skills, to respond effectively in difficult situations, we first have to know our common warning signs. We have to pay attention so we stop ourselves before we react on automatic pilot. We have to know both our internal warning signs and our external ones and be able to scan our body to know the intensity of our emotions and immediately notice if we're in any of the 4 F's, fight, flight, freeze, or flounder, stop ourselves before we react ineffectively.